You have this version of you that eats healthy, takes care of her body, and you know that's true for you. And living a long life and having a healthy body are like top tier values for you. Why are you not doing that? To the person who can just wake up one morning and overhaul their entire existence, like, kudos to you. I don't have that. That's not me. And that's okay. I'm not going to apologize for that not being me, or not how I teach women how to do it either. Like, I teach women to do what I'm doing, which is to let go of perfection, to allow the fact that you're human with a history into all of it, have compassion for yourself and your decisions, release perfection, and just pluck away at it from that place of learning to get curious about how good your body can feel. How good can your body feel when you take care of her? When you love her long before she looks the way you think she needs to look in order for you to love her. Treat her with love and yourself, because you deserve to feel joy. You deserve to feel healthy. You deserve to feel vibrant. And like, it doesn't matter how big you are when you start. It doesn't matter how much you want to lose. Like, your value in a human, as a human, does not change in that journey in the slightest. What can change when you do it from a place of being curious about how good you can get at loving yourself, at how good you can get at showing yourself respect, and how good you can get at listening to your body and helping her feel like amazing. Like, that's where you're going to find the love, not when you look in the mirror after 100 pounds of weight loss. It's that day-to-day commitment. And even when you don't meet the commitment, not giving up, not saying, obviously I can't do this. Obviously this isn't meant for me. I'm not good enough to do this. Just saying, oh, I messed up. That's okay. Right? It needs to be unimportant that you, I hate the word even messed up, because I believe that we're always doing our best. I believe that even when you go to McDonald's 5 times in a day, you're doing your best. And that's something that you need to start to love and accept about yourself, is that the best is the best you can do. Just because tomorrow you might be able to eat healthy foods all day long doesn't mean that that version of you was working any harder or any better than the version of you that went to McDonald's for 5 times a day. There's no difference. It's the same person. It's the same person doing their best. If you could have ate healthy that day and you wanted to eat healthy that day and you didn't, you were doing your best. You were doing your best, and it's not your fault. I don't know how many times like I could say that to people. I look back at like my own choices in life when I've done things that like current me isn't proud of, right? I can look back and I can think about choices I would have made differently if I was who I was today. And I can judge that, and I can judge me, or I can say I've always done the best that I could. Every decision I ever made, even the ones that were not kind, was the best decision that I could make. From the standpoint of like the knowledge I've had in my life, from the support or lack of support, whatever. Like, I've always done the best that I could, or what I thought I had to do in order to survive, because that's human, right? We are survivors. And our brain is weighing out risks and dangers and solutions and ways to keep us safe. And sometimes when we've learned that somehow food is what keeps us safe and we're feeling unsafe, what our body needs to do in order to feel safe again is eat. So it's going to bring you to food before you realize even what's happening. Like, I'll have had like the McDonald's burger in my mouth before I acknowledge that I'm even having a feeling, that someone made me feel like I was not good enough, that someone made me feel that I was less than. It's a huge wound for me. All of us have wounds. All of us will have had times in our life where we were not supported through something that we needed to be supported through differently. And I think it's just so important that we always just remind ourselves we're doing the best that we can. So even when we go off plan, we just need to say, okay, that happened. Clearly, that's what I needed to do in order to manage that situation. But that doesn't change my next decision. Am I more regulated now? Am I able to come back to the things that are truly important to me? And can I make a different choice that might be more helpful towards my health now? And again, if the answer is yes, great. And if the answer is no, great. Just being able to have those conversations with yourself and just admit that there's feelings going on. I have a community for women where I help them implement, I do keto, I love keto, but I help them implement keto into their life and integrate it and make it something that's sustainable and take the concepts and find the ones that work for them. So some of the women in the community are strict keto, some of them are not, but they're working towards the goals of nourishing their bodies really well, keeping their blood sugar regulated, and all of these things. And one of the most, I think, impactful things that I do inside the community is helping women tap in to the emotions behind why they eat. Because they'll come into the community and some of them are like, no, I don't want freaking emotions. I'm not feeling anything. Nope, I'm not triggered. I'm not overwhelmed. And then I say, okay, so if you know that you want to be healthy and you have this version of you that eats healthy, takes care of her body, and you know that's true for you, and living a long life and having a healthy body are like top tier values for you, why are you not doing that? And if you're not doing that, it's because your protective brain has taken over, which means you're triggered. Why are you triggered? And just working women through this and helping them get to know, we call that, depending on the community that you're in, right? We can call it the inner child. We can call it like your shadow self. Like communities have different names for it. But in nutrition, when you get to understand how that inner child is interfering with your decisions each day and what you eat, and then you get to know her and you get to understand her fears and understand what causes her emotions to take control of your body, you can start to have the conversations back with her and saying, like, we're safe. Like, I know you're feeling triggered because this thing happened. I know you're not feeling safe right now, but I know you're safe. Just trust me in this, we're safe. And just learning to have those conversations will start for you to be able to take back control. So when you're in the lineup eating, or like you just get like your McDonald's and it's in your mouth, and then all of a sudden you realize like this McDonald's isn't in alignment with my goals, or this choice I'm making isn't in alignment with my values, you can say, okay, so what's happening? Why is little me popping up right now? Why is her coping strategies happening? And how can I help her through them? I think that's the most powerful thing that you can do in your journey to getting healthy, is learning to work with that inner child. I spent years telling myself that I didn't want her around anymore, that she had fucked with my life so much that I didn't want anything to do with my inner child. I just needed her to leave because she was interfering with who I wanted to be. And fighting with her didn't get me anywhere. Fighting with her made my life worse because I was fighting with me. Because I was saying to myself over and over again, like, this inherent important part of me wasn't valuable, didn't deserve to be here. And so when you're taking like this huge, like arguably like she's in control quite often, part of me, and saying like, no, like you can't do this. Like you're not allowed to be here. Like you're denying yourself, like you're denying yourself to be you. And yes, like you can have like that self-led version of you, like knowing what this current version of you wants for the future is so important, and one of the most important things that you can do when you are changing your life. But she's not going to get there without that other part of you. She's not going to get there because that other part of you is safety. That other part of you is experience. And it is the parts of you that you get to bring into the world and say, like, this is who I am. This is what I've overcome. And this is how I can help you. So I can look back at that lady who made the choices to get to 300 pounds and infertile, which forced me to go through the pain I had to go through in those years. I can be mad at her. I can be embarrassed about the way she used to eat. Or I can say she was always doing what she needed to do to survive. There were things going around her she didn't realize at the time. Like, I had no idea that the trauma in my past was still impacting me. You know, like, you kind of hear, but you're like, no, like, I'm emotionally good. That none of that matters. I'm fine. I've made it out. I'm fine. I'm not in that world anymore. I'm fine. I wasn't fine. There were still things happening all the time in my life that were triggering my old wounds, and I was feeding them and I didn't even know. So how can I be mad at her? How can I be mad at this woman who had no idea that she had been traumatized to the level that she had been traumatized, or that what she was doing was because of that trauma? She didn't know. So how can I be mad at her? She was always doing what she needed to do to survive. She was always just doing that. How do you be mad at her? I can't. But I can love her now. I can look back and I can say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry you had to go through that. But look where we are now. Look where we got to go. We figured it out. We did it. And you can just love her. Because that's all I can do is look back and I can love her. Because her is that person who got me to today. Her ability to find a way to survive, even though it was food, those choices are what got me to be here. It kept me alive so that I could finally one day realize that I needed to heal, that I needed to do the internal work to heal and see her and see the inner child and create that relationship with her. All of that was so essential. And so now I can look at her with gratitude. Instead of being embarrassed or ashamed of that 300-pound version of me, I can look at her with gratitude because she didn't give up. She found a way to manage and keep going. And now I get to live a life that is so much closer to who I want to be and what aligns with me. What are my values? Like, if you take nothing away from hanging out with me for the last little bit, is just to look back and just say thank you. Say thank you to every past version of you that you might be mad at or embarrassed of or ashamed, and just say thank you. Because that choice, that situation that might make you feel shame right now was part of your journey to being here today. Anyways, that's all I have to say, I think.